Today I'm going to be making a yellow split pea soup. You can do this with, regular green split peas. I just love, I add a little bit of turmeric and I just think it gives the yellow with the turmeric just has a really, really nice color. And it's really nice for these fall months. It's very fall colors. So what I have here, you can really use any vegetables you want. I'm using the bare minimum, but you can add mushrooms to this. You can add zucchini, but I'm using onions, carrots, and celery, and some garlic. So I have my pot here heating with just some olive oil in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in my onions. I'm going to put in my celery, and you want to chop them pretty equally so that they cook evenly. Small, you want to chop them pretty small so that everything cooks evenly, all the vegetables cook really nicely, and then some carrots. So you can really do one of two things here. You can let this saute. I'm just going to put the stove on a little bit higher. You can let these saute for a few minutes and just get them a little bit softer, or you can do what we like to call sweating the vegetables. So what we do for sweating the vegetables is simply you put the lid on, and it will prevent it from, they'll prevent the vegetables from caramelizing, and they'll really just soften without getting that like deep brown color. So I personally like the sauteing method because I think it brings out a lot of just like the sweeter tastes of the vegetables, and it has that caramelized taste. But if you want to kind of keep it a little bit more neutral and just soften the vegetables, you can do the sweating method. So it's really whatever you prefer. So I'm just going to let these sit here. Obviously, we want to let them cook for a little bit longer, but we're not going to sit here for 20 minutes to let that happen. So we're going to just soften up. We're going to add a little bit of garlic. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to add about like a heaping third of a cup of our split peas. So we have them in there, and we want to let those toast nicely with the vegetables as well. And we'll kind of let them get a little bit brown in color, just toast them a bit. And it's just like the colors are so beautiful together. The next thing I want to do is I like to add barley to these types of soups. It's a little bit heartier. You typically have to add a little bit more water just because obviously barley the water gets absorbed by the barley, but I just add a little bit. You can add like 2 tablespoons. You don't need a lot. It just gives a little bit more hardiness to the soup, and I think in these colder months, people like that hardiness. It's a little bit more filling, and it's just so warming and really delicious. And it makes a lot. I put it in this small bowl, and I got probably 3 servings out of that. So, in this small bowl, I got 3 servings. So you get a really nice amount, and it just makes it for like a heavier soup. So we're going to kind of let those mix in together. And then the next thing we want to do is we kind of want to put in our spices before we put in the water, because it actually, it toasts the spices a little bit and it brings out the flavor really, really nicely. So what we're using a little bit of garlic powder. Even though there's a little bit of garlic in there, you can still use some garlic powder because it does give a little bit of a different taste. Then we're going to use some turmeric. And again, there's really no measurements here. This is really however you want to do this. We're going to use some turmeric. It just kind of brings out the yellow. It like brings out the brightness of the soup. So delicious. And it also adds a really very mild flavor, but it adds a nice flavor. And then some onion powder. And those are going to be our spices. We'll add some salt and pepper later. And you can kind of add that and adjust as needed. But these will give, the vegetables a really nice flavor. Oops, got the onion. We're going to mix them together really nicely. It smells already so delicious. And then the last thing we're going to do is just add in our water. So here I have 1 cup of water. I'm just going to grab another cup here. I would probably do about 4 cups of water. Right now there's just 2 here. 3 just to show you guys. There's just 3 cups of water here. I would probably do another one, like I said, because of the barley. You're gonna bring the heat all the way up. You're gonna let it boil, and then you're gonna just once it's boiling, you're gonna simmer it and then cover it and let it sit. You can let it sit probably for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. An hour and a half to 2 hours, and then you can either leave it chunky or you can blend it. I actually put mine in the blender, and it comes out looking like this, and it's really beautiful. It's hearty, it's thick. It does thicken up a bit, so sometimes you need to just add a little bit of water to kind of like a little bit of hot water. And that's really it. It's so delicious. I'm gonna I'll grab this quickly, and you'll see kind of what it looks like.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's really it.
Yeah.
Super easy. I like to soak them in a strainer just for like 10, 15 minutes. Just let them soak in there with some water. I put it in a bowl, soak them, and then put them in a strainer and let the water kind of come out for a few minutes. But yes, I do recommend doing that, and same thing for the barley.